not to be a bit of a sensationalist, but the Mercury retrograde so far has been a bit of a dumpster fire, right? But it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and I'm feeling good, folks, right? This week we are approaching a Scorpio new moon, and dare I say, God forbid I say that this is the most potent Scorpio energy we've had in years. This is a full-blown reset. This is a redemption arc. This Scorpio new moon, November 19th, is your redemption arc, so pay attention. Come back to this video by the end of this week, especially if you are a fixed rising. So that's the Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius risings. This is also going to be very relevant for the water signs, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. PSA, folks, the Scorpio new moon is the halfway point in this Mercury retrograde, right? The day after this new moon in Scorpio, November 20th, we're going to have Mercury re-enter Scorpio, right? So we're flipping it and reversing it, right, to Scorpio. We've had Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, and after this new moon, we're going to be in the second half of this Mercury retrograde. Now, the new moon itself in Scorpio, like I said, is very potent. And what I will say about this is that a lot of watery energy surrounding this Scorpio new moon. Now, obviously, this new moon is in a water sign, but in the sky, we have a lot of the planets trining each other in water signs. We have the moon trining Jupiter, which is retrograde in Cancer. We have Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, trining Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is also retrograde. A lot of planets are retrograding in water signs. We also have Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and it's going to be trining Mercury. We have the Mercury that's going to be Cazimi, right? So the Mercury is going to be conjunct the sun in Scorpio. It's going to be purified in the rays of Scorpio, right? So once we get to the second half of this Mercury retrograde, it is going to be a very distinct vibe shift, right? It's going to be like the record is scratching a little bit. The things that you've heard rumbling during the first half of this Mercury retrograde, we're going to be seeing some of the results of that and the consequences or rewards of some of that during the second half of the Mercury retrograde once we get past the Scorpio new moon, November 19th, okay? In that Mercury Sun conjunction, or Cazimi, if you will, in Scorpio, it's very significant. It's very much saying the mentality of saying nothing matters, everything's just messy, everything's just silly and goofy. That's not gonna fly, okay? It actually is that deep. It's actually very serious, and it's time to pay attention, right? Also gonna have Venus in Scorpio trining the North Node in Pisces. So we have a lot of water energy being activated by this Scorpio new moon, and also really defining the second half of November into December. Now, this clusterfuck is really showing us where we need to admit our vulnerabilities, where we need to admit our weaknesses, right? And to the Scorpio and Sagittarius placements, this season, this is really going to be about you realizing that maybe you've stayed in the same place too long. Really, Scorpio, Sagittarius placements, especially the risings, you are realizing that. You could be in a prison of your own making, right? And it's time to break out of that. It might be time to change your environment. There is a change. Sagittarius placements especially might be feeling, and this could also just be a certain area of your life, wherever your Scorpio Sagittarius houses are placed, okay? In this area of your life, you've been waiting for something to happen, and it's never happened yet. It's not happening. That means that you are not in alignment. That means that there is action that you have yet to take. It is a grayed out area. It's very much a Seven of Cups energy here, okay? Because it's time for you to make a decision. There is something very spiritual about making decisions, because there is a domino effect that cascades from that, right? Your decisions are actually really important. So you might feel like during this Mercury retrograde, especially Scorpio Sagittarius placements, but also Pisces is also involved here and is highly significant, this Pisces energy, because we've had Saturn in Pisces for years at this point. Since like 2023, we've had Saturn creeping through Pisces. And it's been a creepy energy. It's been feeling like we have something under our beds that's haunting us, okay? And it won't go away until we face our demons, right? Saturn in Pisces has really been a lot of unpromised beginnings, a lot of endings, and it feels like we've been living in a finale episode, and we're all very anxious about, okay, but what's happening next? And we don't know what's next. It, again, is also a very grayed out area, and that's the unfortunate part with water energy, which is very activated right now, is that it's very fluid. Water energy is very fluid. It's very flexible, it's very adaptable. It's not mutable energy, but it is energy that requires you not to force anything. It doesn't like a lot of effort. It's not Earth. Earth requires effort and work and structure and research and study. Water is very much like, if it's not coming naturally, if it's not flowing naturally, I don't like it, right? Watery energy is very abstract. It's sensitive and unstable. And we're going to have a lot of the planets in the sky because we have a lot of Scorpio energy here, and the sun's in Scorpio, Mercury's in Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio. So we have all that energy opposing Uranus, and Uranus is in Taurus, okay? And it's retrograde. When we get to 2026, Uranus is going to be permanently in Gemini. We're not going to deal with Uranus and Taurus again for a long time. But these oppositions between the Scorpio energy to Uranus retrograde in the sign of Taurus is giving that instability, and it's amplifying it even further, because another thing about water energy that's so important is that it's abundant. There's a lot of it, right? And so it kind of magnifies what's already there and multiplies it. It's kind of, Cancer is a water sign, right? So what I can say to that is really consider saving your coin and maybe expect some unpredictable, large amounts that you may have to pay. Also avoid impulsive spending as much as you can. Saturn in Pisces has been on our necks for the past few years, and Saturn in Pisces is really, a big player in this new moon in Scorpio. Of course, it's really trining a lot of these other planets, and Saturn in Pisces is really showing us where we're feeling overwhelmed. Your Pisces house is where you've been feeling a major lack of support here, right? And so Pisces placements are going to feel that the most, but your Pisces house is definitely going to be affected by Saturn transiting it. Pisces placements might feel really overwhelmed right now or overstimulated. Your Pisces house is also feeling maybe really dogpiled. Like there's just too much going on, and that Scorpio new moon is going to be really activating this energy. And so this new moon is really showing us where we need to acknowledge our limits, where we need to acknowledge that we need help in this area. That's what Saturn is going to do. Saturn is going to humble you, and Saturn is going to keep piling more things on your plate until you say no more. And Saturn is also going to teach you that you cannot be defined by your sorrows. You can't be defined by your limits. This new moon in Scorpio is very much saying, bitch, you thought. It's very much saying, you thought you could handle this, but you actually can't, and that's okay, right? Touch grass with this Scorpio new moon, okay, because we're still in a Mercury retrograde. And what I will say is that there may be a lot of suspicion during this time. That's what Scorpio energy is really best at doing. It's a very paranoid energy. So you may be dealing with some suspicions within your relationships, who you're keeping close to you. True colors, are revealed a lot during Mercury retrograde, but especially with this one, because the new moon is marking when the Mercury retrograde shifts to Scorpio energy. So you may find you get a lot of hunches around this Scorpio, and you're like, I've got a fucking hunch. I've got a feeling. Do not be tempted to act on these things, right? This is going to be a time for the second half of this Mercury retrograde. This new moon in Scorpio is going to have you realizing that, allow your hunches to play out. Because by the time the Mercury retrograde ends, November 29th, you're going to then see, okay, did it really matter? Because sometimes it really doesn't actually matter and it doesn't mean shit. Other times, you need to let those hunches evolve and reveal themselves on their own time. Scorpio energy is a catalyst. It's very much a catalyst, especially in regards to their relationships, because, Libra is in Scorpio's 12th house. So Scorpio will tend to find themselves in situations where they are the catalyst for other people's growth. They have to be the emotional, support team for other people's, trauma or drastic life changes. My biggest piece of advice with the Scorpio new moon is to gatekeep yourself and take stock of who is around you in every which way and form. Good luck.